Alright, what's up everybody? Mr. Mira here, and today we're going to look at creating a repo in GitHub and then creating an assignment, our first assignment on GitHub Classroom, which we linked to our organization last time, so we have it ready to go. Haven't closed out of this tab, but if you did, you just log back in and you'll be taken to the GitHub homepage or GitHub Classroom homepage, and then you would just click on your course name there, click on the button to create your first assignment there, in case you got it out of the tab. Now, I want to start by making our first repo on GitHub, and there's a couple different ways to do this, and there's a couple different thought processes I have behind doing it one way or another. I'm going to show off the way that I do it, but I'll also mention the other ways to do it as well. And I'm actually going to show this video or a similar video next time as well, which does this creating a repo in other software. So for this video, I'm going to do everything on GitHub on the website. In the next video, I'm going to do the same thing, essentially creating a GitHub repo, creating an assignment on GitHub Classroom. The assignment part will still be on the website, but creating the repository and getting the repository ready to go will be done through software instead of through the website. Like Sublime Text and Sublime Merge will be the software being used to do the next video. To start off here, because you know these videos aren't long enough, let me talk about a couple things that I have set up. One, this is the main teacher account, we could call it, that I use to have all the repositories, to create the organizations, manage everything, provide feedback, do pushes, things like that. I also have another account, which we saw last video, and we actually have two accounts that are quote tester accounts. And the tester accounts I make so that they join the organization as a student would join the organization, so that when I push out code, when I push out assignments, I am able to get in on those non-admin accounts to kind of see what the students see, to see their process, to go through it. How does it push? What do then I see on my teacher account when a student pushes? So I have a dummy account and a dummy second account for testing purposes. I do recommend that you have more than one account. You have one account that does all the teacher stuff, but I do strongly recommend that you have a dummy account that does all the other stuff. Now, I'm actually going to invite one of the dummy accounts to this so we can kind of see how do we invite members once we've made the account if we didn't do that at the start. So all you simply do is when you're on your member page, you click on invite someone. And then let me invite the tester account. We'll hit invite and then make sure they're a member unless you want them to be an owner. I just make sure my testers and any student is a member account. And that's it. Then I just wait, and then the member eventually will join or link up. Students will join or link up. When I invite students, I usually invite them by whatever email address they use to sign up for GitHub. So when it brings up that page, I invite them that way. I actually do have teams set up for the students. I have a student team which I can push repositories to, but that's for a different video, or maybe I don't even make that video. I actually want to get some feedback on what other videos you guys might be interested in seeing. But from here, I'm just going to go back to the repositories page. Now, how do I want to show this off? When you first log in, I guess I'll deal with the editing. When you first log into GitHub, let's go to GitHub, and you're on your home screen. So I'm going to edit out this person's name again, but notice up here, it shows me that I'm on my repository. You can drop this down and see all your organizations. So if I click on this DE Tut right from this drop down, then I would be able to see repositories that are in here. So many, I could search for repositories in here. I could see information about the organization. You can also click on this button, view organization, and it's going to take me to a very similar looking page, exactly the same page that I have open already. So that's how you kind of get to an organization. If you close out of the tab and you got to get back in to it, that's the easiest way. So let's talk about, now that I've rambled for half the video, let's talk about my process to making a repository and getting student assignments. I actually don't create the repository in the organization. The reason I used to do that, the reason that I don't do that anymore, is because if you ever delete the organization or something ever happens to the organization, you may lose those repositories, or you will lose those repositories. So what I actually do is I create all the repositories on my own account, and then I link them through GitHub Classroom to be starter code for the various assignments. So I have a bunch of repositories here, 122 you can see, that I have made up for various labs for students. So what I do on this is I click on new to make a new repository, and then I give it a name, and we'll call it like demo .cs, description if you want to. I'm not going to do it. Because our organization or because your account has private repositories, it should have private repositories access even if it's a free account. You should click on private unless you want to share it with other people or have other people be able to search it. I usually keep stuff private just so students can't search for things ahead of time, see repositories ahead of time, see assignments ahead of time. And then I just hit create. I don't hit initialize with a README. I just hit create. However, for this one, I'm going to hit initialize with the README. I just remembered because I want to create everything on GitHub, so I don't want to have to go through that process. Normally I leave this unchecked because I do everything in other software and I just push up to GitHub when it's done. But for this video, we'll click initialize with the README. Git ignore. I'm going to leave blank for now. We'll do that later. So I'm going to hit create, and then you have your repository, and this would be kind of good enough to get started, but there's a couple things. Obviously we want to write some stuff. There's a couple other things we want to do. First thing I would do in any repository is go to settings and mark it as a template repository. This saves us a lot of time on GitHub Classroom. When we go to create the assignment, having a template repository allows things to happen more quickly when it comes to cloning and stuff like that for students. So then when we go back, you don't have to save or anything. It should say private template up top or public template. Next thing I'm going to do is edit the README. So I'm going to just do that with the pencil. It's all in Markdown language. So if you look up GitHub Markdown language, there's some great tutorials out there for it. But I'm going to say like, let's do your assignment is to finish the Java file with your name printed out. And then you could add commits. The commit message is basically identifying the changes that you've made to the document that you're working in. So I'm going to say like added description. There's no harm in just leaving it blank, but giving actual good commit messages is a big part of using Git, making sure that you identify different projects. I'm going to hit commit changes. Okay. And then we can see our changes there. And if I go to code, I can see the changes there as well. But I don't have any files for the students to work on. So maybe you want to give students some starter code or have some starter code to begin with. So I'm going to go to add a file and create new file. And I'm just showing this off that you can do everything you need to right in GitHub. I don't recommend it, but you can. So let's go and do, and this is a very basic repository. So I'm going to have all my files in the root. Again, I wouldn't really recommend doing that. But as you're starting out, it's all about learning and what you're comfortable with. So we're just going to keep everything in here. Let's do, I don't know, we'll do like first.java, first.sig.java. And I'm going to type in public class, first sig. And let's actually zoom in so you guys can see. Let's do public static void string args. Let's go. Let's see. Write a print statement with your name. Not the cleanest way to type code. That's why I don't recommend you type out Java files in here. You could copy and paste. That would be better. But all the times you have to hit space and stuff like that. Create first to sig.java. Sure. Just leave it. Say added starter code. Commit the new file, zoom back out actually. Now, let's say that my project is finished and ready to get students working on this project. So what I would do is actually, I'm just going to switch to GitHub Classroom. I'm going to create my first assignment, title my assignment. We'll call it like first demo. Could give a deadline if you want to, could make it an individual or group assignment if you want to. Group assignment, you have to select the students who are in a group. I forget, it's been a little bit since I've done group assignments. Let's see, does it do anything? Yeah, max number of members. Yeah, so you probably have to do more. I haven't done group assignments since they changed how this actually looks. They changed up how to do this. Repository visibility, I always click private so students can't see each other's without inviting each other or sharing it some other way. Public means anybody can search for it on the web. I don't give them admin access. I want to retain that for myself. I don't want them accidentally messing something up or doing stuff that they really shouldn't be doing. So I keep it private, leave that unchecked. Starter code. I always add starter code. So all those repositories that I have typed up, I add starter code. To get the starter code, you type in your GitHub username / and then find out what you want to, start typing the repository name of what the starter code is. So we're just going to do that. Template repository, because we marked it as a private template there. If you have an online ID, I don't usually use those. You could select one of the two there, and then I'm going to hit continue. So I'm not going to really talk about those because I would just be making stuff up. Going to hit continue. Grading and feedback. This is where you can add the auto grading test. You can do things like input output. That's not for this video. If you're interested in seeing how to do that, I will make another video if there is interest in that. I'll make another video showing that off. This is new as well. Actually, in the spring, it went new. I love this feature. So click enable feedback pull request. That's amazing. And it's also amazing if you do the auto grading. It's even more amazing. If you don't, it's still incredible. So check the enable feedback pull request. Create assignment, then you're good to go. Make sure that this is checked, the enable invitation. And this is what I give students. I copy that link and I send that link to students so that they can start the project or whatever they need to on their own. So next video, next video I already said I'm going to do the same thing just from software standpoint, but the next time that we're working with GitHub, like a new video, instead of just the same video from a different angle, we're going to maybe I'll show off like how a student would see this, I guess. That would be a okay thing to show off. Yeah, I guess we'll do that next time. So next time, if you skip the next video, you'll see that. If you watch the next video, it'll be using Sublime text and Sublime merge to do something very similar to what we just did. So until next time, everybody have a week.